They say dolls can't hurt anyone, and that holds true right up until the moment one starts moving when no one is watching. Annabelle was never found haunted. She was found already aware. The most terrifying rule of this entity is its efficiency. Once it knows you are paying attention to it, it actually stops needing to move. It only needs you to believe it can. Today, the doll sits sealed away, but museum visitors routinely report a chilling phenomenon. They swear the doll blinks in the split second they break direct eye contact. In fact, if you feel a sudden, heavy sensation of being watched right now, do not turn around too fast. Reacting is exactly what it wants you to do. The investigation into this object produced a trail of documented, unexplained evidence that permanently changed the history of paranormal artifacts. In 1970, a nursing student received a second-hand rag doll from her mother. Soft cloth body, stitched smile. Innocent eyes. At first, it served as a simple decoration, resting on her bed in the apartment she shared with her roommates. Then, reality started to slip in tiny increments. The doll changed positions, sitting where no one had placed it. The movements became more impossible. The roommates would find the doll's head physically turned toward rooms it had never been carried into. Soon, the environment itself degraded. The girls started waking up to an unbearable, heavy barometric pressure in their bedrooms at night, a suffocating sensation that their very breathing was being monitored. These shifts weren't random. They started to mirror the girls' movements. The doll would appear in the exact rooms they had just left, as if it was anticipating their presence. Observation eventually turned into communication. Scraps of old, parchment-like paper began appearing inexplicably inside completely locked rooms. The message on the paper was just 2 words: "Help us." Whoever or whatever was writing made sure they didn't use the singular me. The auditory dread became routine. Lights flickered out when the doll was left isolated. Heavy footsteps echoed down empty hallways. And then came the soft whispers, right behind the ear, sounding like a constant warning. The situation broke into physical violence when a friend visiting the apartment was suddenly attacked. Deep marks tore into his skin like something grabbed him in anger. There were no broken doors, and no intruder was found. Even as the violence escalated, the physical doll remained perfectly still. The threat in the room was undeniably real, yet it had no visible hands. At their breaking point, the girls called in paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens immediately looked past the surface haunting. They found no child spirit and no residual human energy trapped in the space. They found the energy was separate from the doll itself. They classified it as a demonic anchor, a tether allowing an entity to influence our world without occupying the object. As it operates, its footprint expands, absorbing human terror to project further into physical space. This entity demonstrated a tactical awareness. It used the doll as a decoy to keep the girls' attention focused on a cloth object, feeding on the very fear they were trying to manage. Because the entity was never actually alive, it could not be killed. The Warrens realized that to stop the escalation, they had to build a specialized prison designed to starve it of the attention it requires to function. The doll was immediately extracted. It was blessed, locked, and permanently sealed inside a custom glass case at the Warrens Occult Museum. They established 3 absolute rules for the case: never open it, never mock it, never challenge it. Even behind glass, the activity remains aggressive. Modern visitors report sudden, violent nausea and watch their electronics die the second they approach the containment area. A psychological shadow follows certain guests out the door. People report a heavy sensation of being tracked for days after leaving the building, a lingering presence that keeps them from ever returning. The doll doesn't need to actually look at you. It inherently knows the exact millisecond you lock eyes with it. The horror of Annabelle relies entirely on patience. It waits. It learns. It remembers who pays attention, and it turns the simple act of observation